is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Well, the President of the United States is pushing to develop a sixth branch of the United States Armed Forces to deal with space, the Space Force. And the reason he wants an entire service focused on that is because of what Russia and China are doing. It has nothing to do with flying jets and bombers. It has to do with space warfare. Now, you can just Google this. This is a story I'm going to read you from several months ago. China and Russia developing destructive weapons for space conflict, warns the United States. And we are behind. Russia and China are developing destructive counter-space weapons, which could be ready to use in the next few years, according to a U.S. intelligence report. Few years. New anti-satellite or ASAT weapons could be used in future potential wars against the United States, the report warns. It says they would be used as a means to reduce U.S. and allied military effectiveness. The Director of National Intelligence Report, which is based on information gathering by the FBI, CIA, National Security Agency, says recent military reforms in both China and Russia indicate an increased focus on establishing operational forces designed to integrate attacks against space systems. Now, if you watch my interview this Sunday with Dr. Michael Pillsbury, he will explain this, that what the Chinese and Russians are trying to do is they're trying to leapfrog us. They know they can't build sub for sub, tank for tank, jet for jet, bomber for bomber. Now, they're doing the best they can, but they are deciding, let us leapfrog the technology and develop technology that'll kill their satellites, so kill, among other things, communication capabilities on the battlefield, weapons targeting, the view of the battlefield and so forth, and just the multiple important aspects of battle that involve space technology. Moreover, they're developing the capacity to shut down our electrical grid, which I believe I'm the only one that keeps talking about this on national radio. Maybe I'm wrong, but I keep pressing this point. I've been pressing it for years, as well as my interviews on Levin TV and Fox. It goes on. The document, the official document states, we assess that if a future conflict were to occur involving Russia or China, either country would justify attacks against the U.S. and allied satellites as necessary to offset any perceived United States military advantage derived from military, civil, or commercial space systems. According to U.S. intelligence, China has already begun initial testing for counter-space weapons and has formed specific military units to operate ground-based anti-satellite ballistic missiles. Russia probably has a similar class of system in development, the report says. In addition, we're so far behind, folks. This is why what Trump is trying to do is so crucial. In addition, the U.S. believes China and Russia are building directed energy weapons, lasers, which would include lasers and could be used to damage sensitive space-based equipment. After this, the report adds, of particular concern, Russia and China continue to launch experimental satellites that conduct sophisticated on-orbit activities, at least some of which are intended to advance counter-space capabilities. So they're already launching these satellites. They're already preparing these weapons. The U.S. report comes weeks after a Russian report made similar accusations about Washington's military intentions. Despite U.S. concerns about Russia's capabilities, and I would argue China's even further ahead, industry experts recently told The Independent that the country's space program was near collapse after several failed rocket launches. They throw that in at the very end. But it's not near collapse. We can't even get to space station without the help of Russia, paying them $70 million a flight when that occurs. So we need a Space Force. We're way behind. Now, what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had been elected president? 4 more years of Obama. This is why I say it makes no sense whatsoever for the Russians to be rooting for Trump to become president of the United States, when Hillary Clinton was handing them everything they wanted, including uranium. Makes no sense whatsoever. You know the people she would have at Defense, at State, at the NSA, at the CIA, at the FBI, and of course at the NSC. They'd all be of the appeasement mentality, or worse. Or worse. So now we have to play catch-up. The Democrats don't want us to play catch-up. This is different than Sputnik in the 1950s, where the Soviets launched a rocket, and then we realized that we were behind. And then Eisenhower, and then later John Kennedy pushed for a space program. And Kennedy announced that we would have a man on the moon within the decade. So today, it's a different Democrat Party. It's not the party of John Kennedy. It's the party of Ted Kennedy. Even worse, if you can believe it. And so we have this fifth column within the United States that fights us right here to try and obstruct efforts to be prepared for the enemy. They did it with Reagan on Strategic Defense Initiative, which they called Star Wars and mocked, and which is so crucially important to us and our allies. And they've done it with every major advancement in military technology and weaponry in recent decades. And so when the president says we need a Space Force, I can tell you right now, if we get Democrats in the House, there will be no Space Force. Just like there will be no border, no increased spending for defense, and all down the line. All down the line. This Russia, China, space war potential is a big deal. Russia is a very poor country. It has a small GDP compared to the United States, but it pours immense resources into their weaponry and steals our technology. China is a very big country with a very big economy, the second biggest in the world, not as big as ours, but they intend to have it as large as ours. And they have a central command and control, so they don't have to debate with anybody. They pour their resources in, they steal our technology, and they are off to the races, as I say. This is all going to make enormous sense to you, and I'm not hawking it. I really want you to watch this Sunday show that I have. It is a long-form, 1-hour interview of a gentleman who is an expert on this. And by the way, it doesn't begin and end here, particularly with China, what China is up to. You hear China this, China that. You're going to hear things you never knew before, declassified things you never knew before. China has as official policy, I'll give you one right now, that as of 2049, 100 years from its communist founding, 100-year anniversary, it intends to have surpassed the United States economically and militarily. That's 30 years from now. And what's shocking about this is they may well do it, depending on who's elected to office. They may well do it. And they're doing it in ways that you're not aware of. In some ways you are aware of. It's not like the old Soviet Union. They're using different techniques, different tactics, and they're succeeding. And our leaders in the past, Obama and so forth, have failed us miserably. So I hope you'll watch this. It's very, very important. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.